You are not going to want to miss this one. We are taking steel out of this wedge and another, and we're putting in this graphite shaft. Let's see what kind of troubles and tribulations we get to this time. Welcome back to the Big Golf Shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is where we talk about golf club repairs, golf club fittings, and golf club reviews, all so your scores can go low. If you would, like, subscribe, hit that stuff across the bottom. That way, this stuff gets out to YouTube universe. Join us on Mondays at 17:30 or 5:30 p.m., and that's Eastern time, and our live stream. And we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And we talk about the same stuff. It's a one-on-one with, you can ask questions right then and there, and it goes for about an hour, normally longer, and we have some fun. Join us. Alrighty, so what we're doing, we got a request from a golfer, and we have some Cleveland tour racks. Now, a Cleveland tour rack is actually quite a nice little club. It is, how shall we say, a minimalistic approach to something that's very, very nice. Now, what is that? Well, it comes off as having this raw kind of appearance, this raw finish on it. And will it rust? I would imagine eventually so, but it is not raw per se. The other part of this thing that it has, because if you look, it's pretty much a duller finish. And this one's been used, the other one is new. And this one is what they call a full face. And if you look, the full face means it's got the grooves that go all the way across. The other one does not. However, the grooving on it, or not the grooving, but the milling that's on the face is very, very coarse. So these clubs will grab the ball, I guarantee it. So what's the other thing about it? Well, in both cases, they have really curved the sole. In the front of this one, the leading edge is being curved over, basically killing it. And then you have the radius on here for the sole interaction. And then this one's got a little bit of an extra grind. The other one, not so much, because it's more of a standard grind. Very, very, very well done. Okay, very well done. And it comes with a Project X 6.0. So this is a fairly stout shaft, right? And the golfer, has sent me some more LA Golf. All right, LA Golf shafts. This is a LA Golf shaft, and this one is an A series low 105 4. So the 4 means it's very stiff. So LA Golf shafts make no bones about being for the aggressive swinger, the Bryson DeChambeaus of the world, and right there. If you go to their website, they used to have a whole bunch of heavy-duty swingers. I haven't been there in a while, so I'm not real certain who they're carrying or who is carrying their brand at this time. However, this stuff is very, very stout. All right, and it's made for the guy that just wants to go after it and hit the ball far. Now, the real issue here is that the golfer asked me to make a D5 swing weight. Okay. Well, the clubs themselves, as they set, aren't D5, and with a very, very heavy steel shaft and a standard grip. All right, he wants the same kind of length. However, this is, by all means, if you read this code correctly, should be about 105. So we've already taken weight out. The other problem with this thing is it is very counterbalanced. All right, for aggressive swingers, you tend to like the weight in the hands, right up in here, not necessarily out here, so you can track the club. Okay, so that's going to take away from swing weight. Plus, they want to put on some Golf Pride with the Align. All right, the Golf Pride with the Align. This is going to be heavier than the standard tour grip, and if I weigh it right now, by almost 10 to 12 grams. And 10 to 12 grams. So that's another 3 swing weight points. So we're talking easily, just if we made everything the way it is without adding anything, we're looking at quite possibly 10 to 12 swing weight points low. All right, that's very, very light. So I sent him an email and I said, look, man, you're not going to get what you're looking for, because even 10 to 12, even if I put in the biggest weight that I possibly could, you still aren't going to get back to standard. right? This is taken off from what that thing already was. And then now the complications arise, right? We talked about complications. So if we look at the end of this guy, see that? That ain't very big, right? Not very big at all. And we have to put a tip weight in it if we want it to work. Well, the tip weights on these things are much bigger than this hole. So we got to do one of two things. We either got to drill it out or we got to ignore it. All right, so that's one of the things that we got to take a look at. The other part is that the question of the day, do we really chase all that swing weight or do we let it go, and are we really dealing with the structural integrity of this particular shaft? There's a bunch of things we got to answer. So before we get going, we got to measure all this stuff up. You just figured out that the grip was 55, 56 grams. And this thing is 99, so it's 100. So it's even lighter still. So just the pure weight of this one, yep, 99, 98 and some change. We'll call it 99. So they're both a little bit less, so that's even more of a swing weight issue. So I asked him, do you really want to change it? If you're an aggressive guy, you might like it the way it is. He says, nope, go ahead and change it, and we'll go with what you want to know. All right, so here we go. Let's go to the bench. All right, we're back at the bench, and this is the 60 I've shown you already. And this one is a 56 12-degree bounce club. Now, it's got the plastic on it. I may end up having to take it off, but right now I'm using it as a protector. It's got some really nice grooves on it. It's very, very coarse in between. I do tend to like that. So the first thing we got to do is take it apart. A little bit of muscle, and voila. Now it's time to rinse and repeat before we clean them. All right, gotta go clean them. All right, now that I got them cleaned out, I also weighed them before coming back, and they both weigh, one weighs 299.94, so 300. The other one weighs 301 and some change. So they're not too far off of each other. They're not extraordinarily heavy. I was kind of hoping, well, maybe they're going to be a little heavier and we can do that. Not happening. All right, so now the next question is it going to fit? And the answer is no. And that was going to be the issue here. So what did we get? Let's find out. This is my my gauge to figure this out. It is definitely not 355, and it's just barely bigger than 370. So that's problematic. Let's see what we can do there. Let's see what we got to fit. There we go. Just took me the outer coating on this guy. So one's a little different than the other. Let's make sure I got it all out of there. So now we're going to have to, that's the issue with working with some of these things. I believe it fits in the 370 just too well for this one, but I find it hard to believe that 370 is what it is. These used to be, nope, it's 370 right on the button. That's it. So maybe I got one of each. I do. I've got one of each. Okay. So I got one that's going to fit really, really good. And you saw it go in there. Voila, we're done. Okay. And so the idea here, was I willing to drill a hole in order to make them fit, in order to make a tip weight fit? Now, there are several kinds of tip weights. Let me show you a couple. And I've got a whole litany of weights, but ones that go in shafts, now these are for ones that would go in a steel weight. You can see that that one is much bigger round to go into the larger opening. Now we have other ones that have little bitty posts on them. This one is around a 8 to 10 gram. You see all that extra weight there? Now what happens is that goes into here like this, and it goes into the bottom, but it takes up that space that the shaft would be in. So now we have shaft space being taken up. Some would say, well, since you have the post, it kind of helps. It's a structural thing of whether or not you trust them or not. However, there's another one, and it looks like that. It's basically a ginormous post. Better on camera would be this guy. Let's do that. Better on camera would look something like that. Okay, and what this is, all the weight is actually in this area, not in this area. So it makes great for shaft insertion. The real problem is that the damn thing is bigger than that, right? It won't go in. And how much bigger do we have to get? Now I would say about a 32nd to a 16th on each side in order to make these guys fit. Now there's a lot of, as I showed you earlier, there is a lot of meat on the end of this guy, okay? Could I drill this out and make this fit? The answer is yes, I could. And I would have. However, the real problem here is now I've got to take off enough meat on this one so that it will fit. And I don't know how much I'll have left over. So give me a second. So the idea here is I'm just going to taper the first 3/8 to 1/2 inch of this and then just take off a little bit to see if it'll fit in. Well, give me a minute. There we go. And it's in there good and tight too. That's the way we want them. So how much did I take off? And this is really the difference so you guys understand. It's not a lot, right? We're talking 355 to 370. So it's 0.015. That's not a lot. So the one on the right is what I took off. This one here. That's the one I took off the most. Let's see if I can split them up. There we go. See that? So it's almost imperceivable when you look at it. So the question is, do I still want to take out this weight? I'm still making up my mind. Because I have to go pretty far up in there to get a weight. I'm looking at this one, trying to figure, it's a lead version of this copper one. And they have the same, almost the same weight. Let me look for a drill bit first. Okay, I found a drill bit, and it looks to be a 5/32 maybe. So here's the difference. So if I'm going to drill this in here like this, this is what it's going to look like, and I'm going to have a fairly good amount of material left over. And again, I'm going to fill it up with metal, so it shouldn't be weakened per se. And that has even more. So, oh, what the heck? Let's go for it. Let's put it together and give the golfer some extra weight. All right. So, what I'm going to do is I've got two of these other ones, the lead ones. They're a little bit shorter, and that makes me feel a little more comfortable than the other ones. So we'll try those first. All right, we're going to give her a shot. So what's the big worry about this? Number one is you drill off center. That's going to be a real trick. I've done this quite a few times, unfortunately, so I'm getting pretty good at it. I'm trying to stay away from it as much as possible, as one would understand. And we're going to try and make this thing fit. So here we go. All right, did I make a big enough hole? That's the real trick. And it needs to be the next size up. Wonderful. Well, let's see how far I can get before I need to change. Yeah, that'll get the little one. All right, so what I need to do is find the next drill bit up. So now the other pro and con of this is you get graphite all over you. Graphite gets itchy, particularly if it's in strands. So when you get a chance, wipe your hands off. I'm gonna go get me a new drill bit. 3/16. 3/16 is the number. I'm finding these far too easily now because I've been doing it. Let's make it a little bit bigger. I know you're not seeing this, but all right, let's see if we work that magic now. There we go. See that going in? Now I got to make it sure that's going to go in all the way. I'm getting closer. So now I have to drill it down just a little bit longer. All right, let's get this done. There we go. That's one. That's all bent up. We get one more. See, I got to go about another 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And there we go. All right. So that's the hard part. I'll show you here in a minute. I got to get cleaned up. So Mrs. McGolf had me out this morning with my battery operated little chainsaw cutting down trees. And now I'm doing this. If I'm not itchy by the end of the day, it's going to be a miracle. Okay, so we decided to take the leap of faith and we put this stuff in here. So now you saw what the hole was before. The hole's bigger. We still have quite a bit of meat around it, and that's what we're looking to do. Now we got to make sure, if I haven't messed them up, let's see what goes in where. Okay, that could go in either one. But this guy, yeah, this is the one that goes in there. Okay, I'm gonna pound that in a little bit. There we go. This is the one that goes in the 60. Now we got them figured out. Okay, put this back. Now the real issue here is ferrules. I normally don't do this either, so since I'm in the mode of not normally doing what I do, let's give him something that'll be a lot of fun. Here we go. It's not too far off the color and it's not too bright. Let's give him one of those. All right, BB and F ferrules. Because we're going to send him back these, and they have their special, you know, Cleveland's got the double chrome on theirs, and those will go back. So we're going to hook him up with some, we'll call it kind of a burnt orange and silver. So give me a minute. I'm going to drill these guys out because the one's bigger and one's not, so we're going to drill them both out. All right, so I've drilled them out to receive them because these are normally small on the inside, so now we got that. All right, so now this is to the gluing part. You guys have been seeing me glue stuff together for quite some time, and this is not going to be any different. So we're going to speed this up. Alrighty, so as a little bit of an experiment here, this one goes with this one. Yep. And I'll be right back and tell you what the experiment is. So I had to do all this while my glue was drying right in front of me. So now we're going to line everything up and everybody's going to be happy now that we know what we have. Now, I guess that's one of the warnings that I would give club makers and for guys that are trying to gather up or asking for stuff to do is before you start working on stuff, you got to know what the equipment that you have, meaning, and I'm not sure even if LA Golf makes a golf or makes a wedge shaft. And if they do, I would have much rather used that, particularly if for an aggressive swinger. And but we're making do with what we got. All right, there we go. There we go. So what I did is I trimmed off about 3.5 inches off each one of these things. The other dead giveaway for me was that when I was looking at where the grip was laying, and it was going to cover up the logo. When you see the grip covering up the logo, you got one of two things going on. Either you really have a really short club you're going to make, or you haven't trimmed enough. In this case, it wasn't trimming enough. Alrighty, so here we go. So again, the whole purpose here, so I get everything cleaned up. That's going to be a nice fit. Okay. Alrighty, so there we go. So again, going from steel to graphite, pulling a steel shaft is a nothing burger for a lot of you guys out there. Apply a lot of heat, a little bit of muscle, off you go. Putting the graphite back in, you have to worry about a few things. Number one, you have to remove enough of the paint so the epoxy has a place to bond while it's in the hosel. Number two, it's actually got to fit in the hosel. Now, if you have a bunch of meat on it like we did, you can actually taper the club in and you can make it fit. Not a problem. Now, do I recommend drilling the hole to receive the weight? No, I don't. You have to be very, very precise, make a few phone calls. I've been through this whole exercise more than a couple of times in order to maybe talk to the shaft manufacturer, gain a little bit of confidence. Now, remember when you saw at the very end of the tip, there was hardly anything there? Well, I cut those 3.5 inches and the hole got sizably bigger. All right, it was a 3/16, whatever you remember the smaller drill bit? The smaller drill bit fit in there cleanly. So all I had to do is use the second one. The tip weight almost fit on its own, which gave me more confidence in the fact that it was going to work better. Okay, so there was that. Then the fact that we got them in there. The last bit is the epoxy. Just make sure you got the right kind of epoxy for the application that you're using, and make sure that you wipe everything off. And as you see, at the end, it all worked out. So, and don't be afraid to experiment a little bit with measuring, right? You see me measuring everything that we went through, and then trying a swing weight experiment. I cut one to the regular length, put it in there, we're good to go, right? So hopefully you like what you saw. Maybe this helped you out in your future builds. If you're not feeling it and you don't think you got the confidence, give us a call. We'll make sure that we help you out or do it for you, as the case may be. And send us an email or join us on the live streams. So if you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, hit that stuff across the bottom so we get our subscribership up. And as always, let's see your scores go low.